ఇప్పుడు ఫిక్సే గానీ పని
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్.
రాజు
సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్.
సార్ వాయిస్ వినిపిస్తుంది కదా సార్? క్లియర్ గానే ఉంది కదా సార్?
పెట్టుకున్నది రావట్లేదు.
వస్తుందా సార్? వస్తుందా? మీ వాయిస్ వినిపిస్తుంది సార్ నాకు.
క్లారిటీగానే ఉందా?
మీ వాయిస్ క్లారిటీగానే ఉంది సార్.
అయితే ఇయర్ ఫోన్స్ అవసరం లేదేమో అయితే.
ఇయర్ ఫోన్స్ తీసేయండి సార్. ఇప్పుడు మాట్లాడండి సార్ ఒకసారి.
నారాయణ రాజు గుడ్ మార్నింగ్.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. వినిపిస్తుంది సార్.
ఓకే ఓకే. భాస్కర్ రాజు ఇందాక కాల్ చేశారు.
ఓకే సార్.
ఈ రోజు ఇండక్షన్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అంట కదా?
అవును సార్, ఈ రోజు ఇండక్షన్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఉంది.
ఓకే ఓకే. ఇది నేను షేర్ చేసే స్లైడ్స్ అవుతున్నాయా?
కనిపిస్తుంది సార్. షేర్ చేసింది కనిపిస్తుంది సార్.
మొత్తం ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు పార్టిసిపెంట్స్?
యాక్చువల్ గా 100 లాక్ అయిపోతుంది సార్. అదే తర్వాత యూట్యూబ్ లైవ్ స్ట్రీమింగ్ ఇస్తున్నాం సార్. అది ఆల్రెడీ యూట్యూబ్ లైవ్ ఉంది సార్.
అవునవును.
సో ఇంకా జాయిన్ అవుతారు సార్. 10 minutes ఉంది కదా సార్ టైం.
అవునవును. వెనక లైట్స్ కానీ ఏమన్నా ప్రాబ్లం ఏమన్నా ఉందా?
లేదు సార్, బాగానే ఉంది సార్. మీ వీడియో బాగానే ఉంది సార్.
ఓకే. నేను రాంబాబు.
హలో.
రాంబాబు బాగున్నారా?
బాగానే ఉన్నానండి.
ఓకే. మ్యారేజ్ బాగా జరిగిందా?
దాని బాగానే జరిగిందండి.
మన జేవిఆర్ కూడా వచ్చినట్టున్నారు ఆ రోజు.
అవునండి అవునండి. జేవిఆర్ మా క్లాస్మేట్ కదండి.
అవునవును, తెలుసు తెలుసు. అదే ఆ రోజు రాజమండ్రి ముందు రోజు వచ్చి మీ ఇది అటెండ్ అయ్యి వస్తానని అన్నారు.
అవునండి అవును.
ఆ,
అదే నారాయణ గారి అబ్బాయి కూడా పెళ్ళి అదే రోజు కదండి.
అదే అదే అవును అవును, మేము కూడా వచ్చాం.
దాని గురించి కొంతమంది రాలేదండి మా వాళ్ళు, లేకపోతే ఇంకా ఎక్కువ వద్దరు.
అవునవును.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే ఓకే.
So good morning, Melinda. Is it audible, sir?
ఆడిబుల్ ఆడిబుల్ రోజు.
Okay. So welcome to the 1 week National Online Faculty Development Program. So exploring new innovations in all railway system. So this is the today's fourth session. We are very delighted to have Ramareddy sir, Ramareddy sir from Siddhartha College of Pharmacy. So our co-faculty, senior faculty, Dr. Shrambabu Garu will decide the meeting and give a brief introduction about Ramareddy sir. Shrambabu sir, you proceed for that.
Okay. So welcome to all. So I am going to introduce Dr. G. Ramana Gangareddy. He is presently working as a HOD in Department of Pharmaceutics and Biotechnology, KVRS Siddhartha College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Vijayawada. So he is having teaching experience 26 years, and research experience 22 years, and his area of specialization is pharmaceutics. He taught many subjects undergraduate level: human physiology and anatomy, pharmaceutics, physical pharmacy, pharmacology, industrial pharmacy 1, NDDS, and so on. But even though his area of specialization is pharmaceutics, he is well familiar for pharmacology with the students, and he is having total publication 52 publications, national 22 and international 30, and Scopus 15. She is awarded, received 3, and he is guided PhD 1 and Master in Pharmacy 51. He is having several honors and professional membership, appointed as a nominee and nominated by CPSE, Animal Welfare Division, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of New Delhi, Life Member Association of Biotechnology and Pharmacy, Life Member Association of Pharmaceutical Teachers of India, Life Member Association of Pharmacy Professionals, Professional Member Association of Pharmaceutical Research. Apart from that, he received a grant, consultancy grant from Triveni Formulations with a worth of 70 lakhs. And he's received many awards, received Bharat Shiksha Ratan Award from Global Society for Health and Education Growth, New Delhi in 2016, received Vidya Sirumani Award from Scoremore Foundations, Vijayawada in 2016, and received Best Achiever Award from Association of Pharmacy Professionals, New Delhi in 2022. So I now request to Gangareddy sir, Ramana Gangareddy sir, to proceed with this session.
Please proceed, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rambabu Garu, for a nice introduction to me. So once again, I am very thankful to Sri Vasavi Institute of College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Tadepalligudem, especially the Program Director, Dr. V. Bhaskar Raju, and Organizing Secretary, Dr. P. Narayan Raju Garu, and V. Subbarao Garu, that is Secretary and Correspondent of that institution, and also my senior, Dr. Rambabu Garu, and dear participants, and a very good morning. So I have to congratulate this Narayan Raju and Bhaskar Raju for conducting this type of wonderful programs, especially the 1 week national development program, the faculty development program on exploring new innovations in novel drug delivery systems. It is a vast area. Based on that, today I'm going to talk on one innovative technique, I can say technology, that is a self-emulsified drug delivery systems. Once again, I'm very thankful to other resource persons, Vijay Bhaskar Reddy, Chandrasekhar Reddy, and also Bhargav Bhushan, and also tomorrow that Mohan Verma also. So actually, this FDP intends to facilitate the upgrade of knowledge and skill, and to provide opportunities for induction training to teachers also. This type of programs prepare teachers with the latest teaching methods. They use technology to impart effective education. The same one can convey to the students, they can better understand. So thank you, Raju. So in future also, I can expect more this type of programs we may conduct. Slide shift. Next slide. Okay. Sorry for inconvenience. So this is our college, So all of you know, this is the first private pharmacy college in combined Andhra Pradesh. It was established in the 1994. So we are offering B Pharmacy courses, Pharmacy courses, postbaccalaureate and PG programs of pharmaceutics and also pharmaceutical chemistry and pharmaceutical analysis. So today I am going to discuss the formulation aspects and in vitro and ex vivo characterization of Worlistat self-emulsified drug delivery systems. So this Worlistat especially is useful for the treatment of obesity and it is a anti-hyperlipidemic drug. So I will, how I will plan means, so first what is hyperlipidemia, how this drug acts in brief manner, I will explain the pharmacology behind that. Then I will go for the formulation and the characterization aspects. See, all of you know, so hyperlipidemia is a major problem nowadays. So why? Because when the lipids are going to deposit in our body, if it is greater than normal levels, definitely it produces either atherosclerosis, coronary heart disease, and xanthoslemata. So mainly these are strongly associated with the disorder of lipid metabolism and hyperlipoproteinemia. See in this image, so when the blood vessel, it contains the low density lipoproteins, triglycerides, and high density lipoproteins. So this low density lipoprotein is the bad cholesterol, and this high density lipoprotein is the good cholesterol, and triglycerides, this one. When it is a normal concentration, then there is no obstruction in the flow of the blood. So if any abnormality in the recognition of these lipoproteins on the hepatocytes, then the LDL especially have the tendency to deposit at the blood vessels. It causes the narrowing of the blood vessels that produces the coronary heart disease when it is happened in the coronary artery. When it is happened in the carotid artery, then it causes the brain stroke. So in some cases, this the lipids also going to deposited as a yellow plaques in the skin that cause the xanthoslemata is going to produced. See, these lipids, the lipids means this is the phospholipids and also triglycerides and cholesterol are as such are insoluble in the plasma. So in the plasma, they combine with one kind of protein. That protein is called apolipoprotein. So when the lipids are combined with the apolipoprotein and produces one complex that is called the lipoproteins. If the lipoprotein levels are increased, then it is called hyperlipoproteinemia. When the hyperlipoproteinemia is situated, so definitely that produces many diseases like coronary heart disease, atherosclerosis, and xanthoslemata is going to take place. So various kind of apolipoproteins in the blood, it will be, these are the different types. So apolipoprotein A, apolipoprotein B100, B48, and C and E is going to available. So mainly, so various lipoproteins. So these lipids as such are insoluble in the plasma. So in the plasma, in the form of HDL, in the form of LDL, in the form of VLDL, or in the form of chylomicron, these are the lipoproteins. In the form of these lipoproteins, these are going to circulate in the blood and reaches the target site. There it is going to metabolize. In case if these lipoproteins, because of any abnormality in the recognition of the specific receptor, so it is going to elevated in the plasma levels, then produces the drawbacks. If the LDL, it is called bad cholesterol. Why it is called? It's contained mainly the core cholesterol esters. Hypercholesterolemia is going to happen. In case of chylomicrons, it is the more triglycerides are present. Hypertriglyceridemia, this type of situation is going to produced. So now, just briefly, I will explain how this metabolism of lipoproteins is going to take place. See here, so this is the GIT system. After taking the food contains the fat, carbohydrates, and the proteins. So this is fat, and it is going to emulsify. Then it produces the fatty acids, glycerol, and also triglycerides and cholesterol. This cholesterol and the triglycerides entered into the plasma in the form of a chylomicrons. So that's why this is the apolipoprotein. So these chylomicrons, it contains more complement of cholesterol esters, triglycerides than cholesterol esters. Now these chylomicrons in the circulation at the vascular endothelium, it meets one enzyme that is called lipoprotein lipase enzyme Now these triglycerides are going to hydrolyze to free fatty acids. It will be entered into the peripheral tissues like muscles. There it is going to store. When the chylomicrons containing the triglycerides are hydrolyzed, now the chylomicrons becomes chylomicron remnant. So this chylomicron remnant containing the full complement of cholesterol esters. Now this chylomicron remnant, it finds its receptors on the hepatocytes. Now this chylomicron is going to metabolize and the cholesterol is going to released in the liver. Now this cholesterol can be oxidized to either into bile acids or and one more source. So mainly the two pathways. This is the exogenous pathway, what I have said till now, and the endogenous pathway is also there. From the endogenous pathway through the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme through the mevalonic acid pathway, so the cholesterol is also going to produce. Here the pool of the cholesterol will be takes place. So from this cholesterol pool, the cholesterol may be metabolized to bile acids, or this cholesterol and triglycerides will be entered into the plasma again like a VLDL. So the VLDL is more similar to chylomicrons. So that means VLDL is having more complement of triglycerides, then small portion of cholesterol esters also. This VLDL, so it meets at the vascular endothelium that one more same enzyme, lipoprotein lipase enzyme. So it is the triglycerides are hydrolyzed to produce the free fatty acids. Now the VLDL, because of the hydrolysis of the triglycerides, it contains only the cholesterol esters that is produces the LDL particle, LDL low density lipoprotein. So this low density lipoprotein is also called as the bad cholesterol. See why? What is the need of this LDL means in this condition? So those cells or tissues requires the cholesterol as a source of material for preparing the hormones or plasma membranes or anything. So they produces the LDL receptors. Then that cells gets the cholesterol from the LDL, like sex hormones, any hormones are required, steroids, this one. So this LDL cholesterol is the source of this one. So once after the LDL utilized by the other cells, the remaining one, the cholesterol ester is present in the LDL. The LDL goes to the hepatocyte and binds to the LDL receptor is present on the hepatocyte. Then it is going to metabolize or stored in the liver. Okay, up to this is the normal scenario. And one more point here, the HDL. The HDL is the good cholesterol. This is the high density lipoprotein. Why it is called high density lipoprotein means it removes the calcium from the cells and the tissues. So if the cholesterol are located or accumulated in the tissues of the cells, that is also the drawback. So that type of cholesterol from the lysis of the cell membrane and from this one, so that will be removed from the tissues in the form of HDL. So from this HDL, in the presence of cholesterol ester transporting protein, the cholesterol is transported to either VLDL. So in this case, this is the normal scenario of this catabolism of this lipoproteins or the cholesterol. Here, if the LDL is recognized its receptor and it binds to the LDL receptors on the hepatocyte, then no problem. If in case, if the LDL is unable to recognize its receptor on the hepatocyte, then the LDL is going to accumulate it in the plasma itself. The tendency of the LDL is it is going to deposit it in the vascular endothelial cells of the lumen of the vascular blood vessels. Now the narrowing of the blood vessel is going to take place. Then it leads to coronary heart disease or xanthostomata or carotid artery blockage and the brain strokes. All this is going to happen. So now this drug, our drug, that is the orlistat, it belongs to the anti-obesity drug, and also it blocks the lipase enzyme. So because of the blockage of the lipase enzyme, there is no emulsification of the fat is going to take place. The unabsorbed, unemulsified fat, so that is going to excreted through the fecus, so it can reduces the obesity. That is a simple mechanism behind this orlistat drug. Okay, now I will enter into the formulation aspects. So that is the main part, formulation and in vitro, ex vivo characterization of orlistat self-emulsifying drug delivery systems. So Oral route has been become major route of drug delivery for the treatment of many chronic diseases. In recent years, the formulation of poorly soluble compounds are presented into the major challenges for formulation scientists in the pharmaceutical industry, which leads to poor bioavailability. So if the drug wants to absorb from the small intestine or any biological membrane, it should have minimum solubility. So this early state drug, so it is belongs to class 2 or BCS class 2 drug. So biopharmaceutical classification system 2 drugs. So class 2 means it is having lesser solubility and more tissue permeability. So if it is having lesser solubility, the drug should have minimum solubility in the intestinal fluids, then only it can cross the biological membrane. So here the challenge is, so you have to increase the solubility of that class 2 drug molecule. So if you enhance the solubility, that can easily crosses the biological membrane. And here also I can stress on one more point. The log p value of the drug is also very, very important. So if the log p value is high, that indicates the drug is lipophilic in nature. If the log p value is less, so that is the hydrophilic in nature. If the drug is highly lipophilic in nature, so there is no solubility, it cannot dissolve, so it is going to deposit it in the tissues itself. So if it is having more hydrophilic in nature, it cannot cross this one. So this drug molecule should have optimum log p value, that is 1 to 3 is the optimum log p value. If it is having log p value of 1 to 3, it have both the hydrophilic and lipophilic nature. It has good solubility and good penetrability. So permeation is more, so it can be easily enters into the systemic circulation. There are a number of formulation strategies could be used to improve the bioavailability of the class 2 drugs, either by increasing the dissolution rate, or by presenting the drug in solution form, or maintaining the drug in solution in the intestinal lumen. So various approaches are there. So apart from that approaches, so this is the self-emulsified drug delivery system is the somewhat innovative and novel drug delivery system for the class 2 type of drug molecules. In recent years, much attention has focused on lipid-based formulations to improve the bioavailability of the poor water-soluble drugs. So in this case, especially these self-emulsified drug delivery systems is the somewhat novel delivery system for delivering the poorly soluble class 2 drugs. So what are the self-emulsifying drug delivery systems? So in case of self-emulsifying drug delivery systems, mainly the three components. The drug will be there and oil is present and surfactant and co-surfactant. So this is a isotropic mixture of oil, surfactant, co-surfactant and drug. So when it is agitated in the aqueous medium, it produces a fine globules. Oil in water type of emulsion is going to produce under the gentle agitation. So that's why in before formulation aspects, in the pre-formulation aspects, you have to consider the first thing is you have to go for the solubility studies. Based on the solubility of the drug, so you can select the oil, you can choose the surfactant, you can choose the co-surfactant systems. This is the simple one diagrammatic representation. So oil, drug, and surfactant, co-surfactant in 1:2 ratio or this one, it produces a smaller globules. So these are the liquid self-emulsified drug delivery systems. So these are the liquid preparations. So these liquid sets also can be converted into powder sets also when this liquid medium, this oil in emulsion can be absorbed into the one more carrier. So we are producing a free-flowing solid emulsified self-emulsified drug delivery system. So these can be filled into the hard gelatin capsules. So dear faculty members, so first important thing in the formulation aspects, that is the pre-formulation studies is very, very important. As a part of pre-formulation studies, the solubility studies is very, very important. So based on the solubility of the drug in the solvent system, that is especially oils, surfactant and co-surfactant, we can choose this one. So I have performed this solubility in different oils like arachish oil, sunflower oil, oleic acid and castor oil. So in the solubility was more in oleic acid. So in this formulation part, so we have chosen oleic acid as in oil. And this also surfactants. So we have conducted on span 80, Campul and tween 80. So the twinate is having the more solubility in the drug is having more solubility. The co-surfactants you have used propylene glycol, isopropyl alcohol, and polyethylene glycol. So in isopropyl alcohol, so the orlistat have more solubility. So that's why we have chosen this IPA, isopropyl alcohol. So based on the solubility studies, so we have chosen one oil, that is the oleic acid, and one surfactant, that is the twinate, and one co-surfactant, that is the isopropyl alcohol. So in briefly, how we are performing the solubility study, briefly I will explain. The solubility of orlistat was determined by adding excess quantity of the drug to the stoppered conical flask containing the required quantity of the various oils, surfactants, and co-surfactants. The flask were kept at 25 degree plus or minus 0.5 degree centigrade at 72 hours in an orbital shaker so that it can reach equilibrium. Once it reached the equilibrium, they were removed from the shaker. The samples were collected and filtered through the Wattman filter paper and required make some dilutions and determine the drug by UV visible spectrophotometer at 220 nanometers. So based on this solubility study, we have selected oleic acid and also twinate and the isopropyl alcohol. And one more important pre-formulation aspect for any formulation, so that is the compatibility studies. Compatibility studies. So in compatibility studies, we are saving the drug, we are saving the money, we are saving the time. So in this case, we are using different excipients apart from the drug. So there is a possibility of interaction between the excipients and the drug. So by utilizing this compatibility study, either FTA study or by the DSC study, you can assess, you can determine whether any possible interaction between the drug and the excipients. So in this some formulation aspects, so we have used the FTIR spectroscopy for conducting compatibility study. So this is the FTIR spectrum of the pure drug, and this is the FTIR spectrum of the one formulation that is called F11. F11. So in this case, these principal peaks were not deviated compared to the pure drug. So that is the CH stretching bond and also C double bond N, C double bond O bond is not deviated. So the principal peaks were not deviated. That clearly shows that there was no interaction between the drug and the excipients. So we have gone for further studies. And the next important thing is the construction of the pseudo-ternary phase diagram. So this is the, by utilizing this one, we are conducting, we are receiving the microemulsification region. So at what concentrations is required for microemulsification region. So based on this pseudo-ternary phase diagram only, so we have selected the method is called the aqueous titration method. We have used different concentrations, total 7 different combinations of this one. S mix means there is a composition of the ratio of the surfactant and the co-surfactant. Total 7 formulations, combinations have selected. So by utilizing this ProSim ternary software, so we have constructed the this pseudo ternary phase diagram. So actually this work was done by my MPharm student. She is a gold medalist in our college. Then after completion of this work, she went for abroad US for MS. After completion of MS, she attended one interview. So that company CEO, that scientist mainly focused on this work only. So based on this work only, she got good job at the pharmaceutical industry. She now is doing as a senior scientist on the international pharmaceutical industry at US. So by utilizing this ternary phase diagram, so the micro emulsion ratio was identified. So where it is clear and transparent formulations are obtained based on this visual inspection of the sample. So the highest emulsion zone was achieved for the micro emulsion having 2:1 ratio is finally it is selected. That is the twinate is the 2% and IPA is the 1%. 2:1% have been selected. This is the formulation aspect. So by utilizing that one 2:1 ratio and the oil and the drug. So totally 18 formulations have been developed. So 60 mg is the drug. Oleic acid is different ratios. That is this one, and this is the 2:1 ratio. 2:1 ratio of the twin 80 and isopropyl alcohol. Total 18 formulations have been formulated. Out of 18, so based on many parameters, so we have chosen F11 is the optimized formulation. Optimized formulation. Why I have chosen this is an optimized formulation. So under the characterization of this self-emulsified drug delivery system, again I will explain. So each one F1 formulation containing the drug, oil, and the twin 80, that is surfactant, and the co-surfactant. See here that this is the 2:1 ratio. So once the formulation is over, for any formulation, so that is the characterization and the evaluation is very, very important. So for the self-emulsified drug delivery systems, the characterization is the very, very important. The first one is the appearance. So this oil in water type of this micro emulsion should be clear. Visual appearance should be clear and should be clarity. So if there is no turbidity, if you find any turbidity, that is the phase separation. So that is not a good formulation. So the first one is the appearance, and pH is also very, very important. By utilizing Elko pH meter, we determine the pH. Always the pH of the formulation should be in the neutral range only. So if the pH of that any oral formulation, if it is too acidic, that is the problem. If it is highly alkaline, that is also problem. So it should be in neutral. So all our formulations, what we have prepared, that is in the neutral range only, that is 5.28 to 6.2, 6.8 only. So that is the good indication for this formulation. And one more important characterization, that is the determination of the dispersibility and the emulsification time. At what time the added self-emulsified drug delivery, if we added into the aqueous medium, immediately it produces the clear smaller globular emulsion. That is the emulsification time. So the emulsification time is very less in case of F11. So that's why that is one parameter for considering that is the optimized formulation. The simple procedure, how we are determining the dispersibility and the emulsification time is, so we are taking the 500 ml of the distilled water in the USB apparatus to paddle apparatus, then this self-emulsified drug delivery system is going to add it. Then the in vitro performance of the formulation was usually assessed using the grading system from grade A to grade E. So these are the various grades. So if the self-emulsified drug delivery system is added to the aqueous medium under the RPM of 50 RPM, if it is a rapidly forming emulsion having a clear or bluish appearance, this is called grade A. So the optimized formulation is having the less emulsification time, and also it comes under grade A. Why? Because it is a clear appearance. If it is a slightly less clear emulsion, it is having the bluish white appearance, it comes under grade B. If it is a fine milky emulsion, that comes under grade C. If it is a dull grayish white, then and longer than 2 minutes if take to for emulsification, so that comes under grade D. And finally, with a large oil globules with no emulsification, so that it comes under this grade E. So all our formulation, especially the optimized formulation, comes under grade A. The remaining comes under B and C. So one factor, one parameter to consider, that is optimized formulation for considering this grade A character. This is the various this thing appearance and this one. See all this F18 formulations. The appearance is slight yellow and clear. Slate yellow and clear. The pH is around between 5.8 to 6.2. See here, in case of F11, the pH is 6.1 and the emulsification time is 46. In case of remaining times, that may be 101 seconds, 77 or 90 seconds. And emulsification efficiency, that is the grade, this is the grade A. So based on these many factors, so we have considered the F11 as a optimized formulation. So this formulation can be processed to other testing parameters. And one more important parameter, the characterization parameter for this liquid preparations, especially, that is the rheograms. Construction of the rheogram is very, very rheological properties also important. That the viscosity, determination of the viscosity of the formulation is very important. This viscosity, so mainly during the transportation time or filling time, there is chances of leakage. All these things, if it is in the outer limits of the viscosity, outer viscosity of the outer limits of the viscosity, so these problems may arise. So now the viscosity is determined by using a Brookfield viscometer. So the values were constructed, percentage of torque on x-axis and RPM on y-axis. We got a linear curve. So this clearly shows that this liquid preparation follows the Newtonian systems. So if it follows the non-Newtonian system, so it cannot fill this one. So it is very difficult. So this clearly shows that this follows the Newtonian system. The viscosity is also around 36.66 CPS. This low viscosity also clearly shows that the developed micro emulsion is an oil in water type of emulsion. And one more important factor, so that is the droplet size. Droplet size. Droplet. Another important parameter is the droplet size. So if in the micro emulsion, if the droplet size is a very small size, then it is an uniformity in the size. So that is having the better solubility. If it is having better solubility, the bioavailability is also going to increase. So by using the zeta sizer analysis, so we can determine the particle size. So the droplet size of an emulsion is a crucial factor in the emulsification performance, because it determines the rate of extent of drug release as well as the drug absorption. If the droplet size in the emulsion is large, so solubility will be less because of surface area will be less, and the bioavailability and the absorption will be less. Moreover, it has been reported that the smaller in the particles, in the larger in the interfacial surface area, smaller the particle size, so definitely the surface area is going to more, because of larger surface area, that may leads to rapid absorption and improves the bioavailability. So here, so I used the formulation 11 and also placebo. So placebo means you're preparing the self-emulsified drug delivery systems in the same composition. So without drug, that is the placebo, which is the drug, that is the F11 compared. So final in the dissolution studies also placebo, our formulation, pure drug, and the marketed formulation have been compared. So the particle size of the placebo was found to be 1262 nanometers, and the formulation F11 was found to be 1223 nanometers. So this is a droplet size is a very normal, very less. So that indicates that it is having better solubility and better absorption also. And one more important factor, that is the polydispersibility index. This is very important. Polydispersible index is the ratio of standard deviation to the main droplet size. So that means the value is important. So if the polydispersible index value is greater than 1, so that indicates there is no uniformity in the particle size. So in our formulation, so the polydispersible index value is in between 0.9797 to 0.793. 0.797 is for the placebo formulation, and 0.793 is for the F11 formulation. This clearly indicates that there is a uniformity in the droplet size in the formulation. See, they here also, if PDI value is more than 1, it indicates that non-uniformity of the particles in the emulsion, lesser solubility of the drug in the solvent system with the reason for high PDI value. And there is a polydispersible index value is high, that indicates that solubility is very, very less. So because of the lack of that solubility, definitely that produces the bioavailability problem. So in this our formulation, the polydispersible index value is 0.793. So that is a less than 1. That indicates there is a uniformity of the particle size in the formulation. So this is the thing, particle size and polydispersibility index. And another one, the zeta potential is also very, very important. So based on the zeta potential value, so we can find whether the prepared formulation, especially this type of emulsion based preparation, either is stable or not stable. So the zeta potential can be considered either plus 30 or minus 30 millivolts. In case of more than plus 30, that indicates that is the more stable. If it is more negative than minus 30 millivolts, that indicates unstable. So our formulations here, the zeta potential is minus 676 millivolts. So that is less than minus 30 millivolts. This clearly shows that because of uniformity in the particle size and it is having good pH, it is having the good emulsification time, and this zeta potential also further supports that. So it is having good stability, good stability. If the value is more than minus 30, so it's unstable. So in case of if you consider the positive 30 MV, so that is a more stable. So based on this parameter, we can say that our prepared formulation, especially the F11 formulation, is very stable preparation. There was no phase separation or any turbidity or these problems. And one more thing, one more characterization property is the thermodynamic stability study is also very, very important. Thermodynamic stability, you are inducing the stress to that formulation. So alternatively, you are exposing to the heating and cooling and freezing and thaw cycle. You are breaking that freezing. So the thermodynamic stability studies were performed on the optimized formulation by subjecting to heating, cooling, followed by freezing and thaw cycle, and finally centrifugation. No appreciable changes in the parameters like phase separation and coagulation. If after this thermodynamic stability study, if you find any phase separation or the turbidity or any coagulation, that you can say that our formulation is not good. So here there is no appreciable changes like phase separation and coagulation, so that indicating that the formulation was quite stable and suitable for the further studies. Then based on that, after performing the thermodynamic stability study, the F11 was processed to further studies like in vitro diffusion studies and also in vitro dissolution study, and one more in ex vivo absorption studies also performed. So the in vitro diffusion study were performed by using a dialysis bag method. So that self-emulsified drug solution is placed into the bag and tied both ends with the thread and placed in the beaker that containing the 500 ml of this solution, that is a 3% sodium lauryl sulfate and 0.5% sodium chloride. The pH was adjusted to 6. This one used as a dissolution medium. At a different time intervals, collected the samples and is replenished with the fresh quantum of the solution and have calculated the drug solubility, drug release, diffused drug. So the drug diffused from sets after 3 hours is found to be 50.79%, whereas for the pure drug suspension is found to be 31. So this is the pure drug and this is the effluent formulation. So it is indicates that it is having good solubility. It can be freely diffused through this barrier, the biological dialysis membrane. So it have good diffusion property. So for this one, we have calculated the first order rate constants also when compared to a pure drug. So the first order rate constant values are superior. So this also clearly shows that it is having the better solubility. It is a better solubility, so better dissolution efficiency and also better absorption and better is going to happen. And the next one is the ex vivo absorption study, that is from the mucosal to serosal site, that is the absorption. For this one, so we have sacrificed the rat. So the selection of the rat is very, very important. Blister rats, so it should be very healthy. It is around 250 grams weight. So it is fasted overnight. Then after that, it is sacrificed, anesthetized with the ether, and the small intestine has been isolated. From that, rat gut sacs are prepared. So from the rat sac, one side is tied with the thread and place the self-emulsified drug delivery system containing the orlistat, that is the F11 formulation. Then the second side is also tied with the thread and it is placed into the this one. Study has been continued. So the unpaired T test is also performed. So this is the comparative profiles of the pure drug and optimized formulation across the mucosal to serosal side. Mucosal means from the intestinal side, serosal side means to the blood side. So how the drug is going to diffused or transported from intestinal side to the blood side by using this one. So this also clearly shows that. So this is the red color is the this is the pure drug, and this is the formulation. So this also clearly shows that it can easily crosses the intestinal membrane and enters into the blood circulation. And one more important study, that the histopathological study. So these intestine cells, epithelial cells, these cells are continuously exposing to the our formulation. So does this formulation causes any damage to the epithelial tissues? So for the determining of that one, so the samples, that is the after study, these helium have been sent, placed in the formaldehyde and sent for the histopathological study to the pathologist. So these also results also clearly shows that no destruction in the epithelial cells, and there is no dysplastic or malignant cells, revealing that our optimized formulation is safe and it is not damaging to the this epithelial tissues of the cells. And finally, in vitro dissolution studies were also performed for this formulation and for the pure drug, and also for the marketed formulation, and also for our optimized formulation. So at a different time intervals. So the 900 ml of this dissolution medium that contains 3% sodium lauryl sulfate, and 0.5% sodium chloride to maintain the 37 degrees centigrade up to 30 minutes or 45 minutes you have performed. So within 20 minutes only you got the same full drug release. So in the comparative study also you can say that, so when compared to pure drug and the market formulation, our optimized self-emulsified drug delivery systems is having the better solubility. So it is having the better absorption, this one. So the maximum drug release was observed at 20 minutes only. It could be suggested that self-emulsified drug delivery system formulation resulted in the spontaneous formation of the microemulsion with a small droplet size, permitted a faster release rate of the drug into the aqueous medium, much faster than that of the pure and the marketed drugs. So this greater availability of the dissolved early state from the self-emulsified drug delivery system formulation could lead to higher absorption and higher oral bioavailability. So the K value is also calculated for this pure drug and also marketed formulation and also our optimized formulation. So for this self-emulsified drug delivery system, the K values are superior than the K values of pure drug, and also for the marketed formulation. This clearly shows that our formulation have better solubility and better bioavailability than the pure drug and the marketed formulation. So from the dissolution kinetic data, so we have, it was also observed that, so there is a 5-fold increase of solubility of the prepared self-emulsified drug delivery systems when compared to pure drug, and also 3.6-fold increase in the kinetic rate of self-emulsified drug delivery systems to the marketed formulation. So that clearly shows that our prepared formulation having the better solubility and better bioavailability also. And these are the conclusions. Orlistat, being a poorly water-soluble drug, was successfully formulated into self-emulsified drug delivery systems. The components and their ratios ranges from the formulation of self-emulsified drug delivery systems are obtained by solubility study and pseudo-ternary phase diagram construction. The optimized formulation of the Orlistat seeds consisting of oleic acid 30%, tween 80 46.66%, and isopropyl alcohol containing 23.33%, which have sufficient drug loading and have the self-emulsification in aqueous medium and forming a small droplet size in the ratio of microemulsion. It also showed greater extent of release than pure drug and the formatted market formulation, that are clearly shown by the K values of our formulation, and with the pure drug and the market formulation, is having the better solubility. The histopathology studies also revealed that the formulation is very safe. There is no damage of the epithelial cells. So that clearly shows that what the oil, what the drug, what the surfactants, or the post-surfactants you have used, so that are safe. Finally, it can be concluded that the formulation of the prepared self-amorphous drug delivery system of Worlistat shown effective increase in the rate of absorption due to increasing the solubility when compared to the pure drug, and the maximizes the formulation, thereby increasing the bioavailability of the poorly soluble drug. So, apart from many approaches like micronization, solid dispersion technology, and also beta cyclodextrin complexation, and many salt formation, many approaches, this is one of method innovative and novel technique for enhancing the solubility. Automatically the dissolution efficiency and the bioavailability is also going to increase. So now I conclude that so the self-emulsified drug delivery system is a novel technique to enhance the solubility and bioavailability of the poorly soluble drug like PCS class 2 drugs, which is having the low solubility and better tissue permeability. And once again, I am very thankful to Bhaskar Raju, Principal of Vasavi Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Tadepaligudem, Narayan Raju, for giving this opportunity, and the college management also. So once again, I am thankful to the participants and all this one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful session on self-emulsifying drug delivery systems, better bioavailability. So now I request all the delegates, if you have any questions, please send the text message and directly you can ask. Any questions?
So actually, if anybody needs any this one, so actually this work is also published in a Scopus Index journal. If you need any help or any suggestions or anything, so you can approach me by phone or anything, I will help you.
Any questions? So, sir, I will ask one question. That Orlistat is locally acting in the stomach itself.
No, actually, in the intestinal itself, it inhibits the intestinal lipase enzyme.
Lipase enzyme. So,
because of the inactivation of the reversible lipase enzyme, so there is no emulsification of the fat.
okay.
So if the fat is emulsified, then only it can converted into lipoproteins. So because of not emulsification of that one, so because of its a big size, it will be excreted through fecus.
Yes, sir.
It will not be solubilized.
So, if it is absorbing, what is the mechanism of action apart from this local action?
So actually, there is no. It's a simple. Orlistat is commonly used to treat obesity. When the obesity occurs, if the lipoproteins or this fat is going to accumulated. So when the fat is demanded, it's actually in the liver pool from the positive feedback mechanism. When there is no fat in our body, from the liver pool, it will be released.
Okay.
So in that, like that, the liver pool, it contains this one fat or cholesterol that will be depleted. So in the here the simple logic mechanism is the intestinal gastrointestinal lipase is going to inactivated. Then so there is no emulsification of the fat. So the fat will be excreted through the fecus. So automatically the fat is going to decrease.
So will it act on our intake of food? What we are taking protein?
Yeah, only exogenously. Only it acts only in the exogenous pathway one.
Okay.
So if you want to control the cholesterol endogenously, then you have to go for the HMJ co-reductase inhibitors like atorvastatin or simvastatin. This type.
Statins. Yes, sir. Yes.
Fibrates also exogenously they act.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So, any questions
Oh.
from friends? Anyone? Delegates? Okay, sir. I think there is no questions.
Okay, thank you.
So once again, thank you very much, sir. On behalf of management and our principal and our staff, we are very delighted to have you here on this occasion. So thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for your
Vishnu.
session, sir. Thank you very much. So we'll end up this session if there is no questions. So
Okay,
we'll
thank you,
send the
Narayan.
feedback form to the link to the WhatsApp. You please fill the feedback form on this.